It's Friday, April 1st, 2033, opening day of the 10th and final season of this simulation. And the team is a little bit different, but most of the key contributors are back for another go-around. Now, we improved last season from 64-98 to 87-75. That 64-98 season seems like an aberration compared to the 80-win seasons we've had apart from that. Still yet to reach 90 wins, and we also have only won one playoff series in 9 complete seasons, 2 appearances in the postseason. How can we help change that this season and make it for a third time in our last year under contract as general manager of the Sacramento Athletics? Well, it starts with the pitching staff. Joe Little is back after winning the Cy Young a season ago. 3.01 ERA, led the American League in wins. Chris Mullin also back, but after his injury, his ratings went down substantially. Partially torn UCL, he went down from a 65 overall player all the way down to a 50 overall starter. So we got to hope that he can keep form after the season he had a year ago that was cut short. A better season than Joe Little. He would have won the Cy Young if he didn't get hurt. And we traded a top prospect, Ji-Hoon Kim, who's a number 48 prospect in baseball, and Juan Morera, who is looking fine. Bryce Miller was brought in to be another starter. We almost traded for him 2 seasons ago, but after a season with Detroit in which he started the most games in the major leagues and was pretty good, we finally bring him in. We sent over a good package to retain part of this contract and acquire Bryce Miller's services. Vladislav Romero, 23-year-old reliever, Nelson Ramirez, who was a young Dominican outfielder, Douglas Nieuweboer, a Dutch relief prospect, and Nelson Rivera, another Dominican reliever. But John Chilson was the biggest piece we gave up in this trade. He's already in the Tigers' pen. The control was low. He's 23. We didn't have a spot for him on the 40-man, and we needed a starter now. So we trade John Chilson for Bryce Miller, who will be a free agent after the year. I went a little bit more crazy with the trades this offseason, knowing that this was our last season. Frank Alcacer starts in the rotation. Our manager likes him there, and he had a good season last year as a Rule 5 draft pick. And Darius Vines, who was actually a guy that we had acquired in the Rule 5 draft, he was taken from us in the Rule 5 draft. We acquired him for Brent Rooker and John Birdie and Wander Guante back in 2024. We left him unprotected in the Rule 5 draft. He was picked by the Royals, and after that, he had a pretty good career in the major leagues. He debuted in real life last season. Didn't come up to the bigs until 2026, but after that had a good season or 2 in KC. Was traded to Milwaukee, and since he's just kind of been an average starter eating innings, a guy that we could have used, but we didn't keep around, so we signed him to a 1-year, $8.6 million deal to be our 5th starter. In the bullpen, Matt Brash comes over from the New York Mets as our closer, highly paid guy, but we got the Mets to retain most of that contract, and gave up Ryan Long, who was a veteran starting pitcher that a lot of teams were inquiring about, Chase Petty, who had a very good season in Double-A last season for us, and Nate Gray, a reliever who I don't really care about. That got us 65% of the deal retained by New York, and the rights to Matt Brash. He has been a starter in parts of his career, but was a reliever for the most part in Seattle. Started the last few seasons there, a season in Chicago, and then split time with the Mets. He will be our closer with his control issues. Connor Langdon comes over from a trade with the Chicago White Sox. You can sense a trend. We are looking for pitchers. I guess I'll go into Woo-Suk Go, too. Connor Langdon, a lefty, very balanced pitcher, could start for us. Had a very good season 2 years ago on the south side, 3.92 ERA, over 124 innings pitched as a starter and a reliever. And we also acquired Woo-Suk Go with him, and they retained part of his contract, but just another reliever to beef up the pen. And for those players, we gave up Miguel Belize, who's a fine player, had a very good season last year for us, but he's wrecked, and he's a free agent after the year. We traded a need for a need. The White Sox needed an outfielder. We needed pitchers. Davison Gutierrez, fragile, backup catcher, we had other righties, and he hadn't really proved himself at the major league level, so I was ready to move on. We trade Gutierrez as well. Roman Anthony, who is a 28-year-old wrecked outfielder who we had acquired a while ago, and Danny Spain, who was a draft pick and has since been released by the White Sox. So not too much to give up for Langdon and go. Jamie Maynard back in the bullpen. Daxton Levin back in the bullpen after a good rookie year. Jaden Baptiste, Trey Combs, and Chase Hampton, who was brought back, had a rough spring training, but I think the ratings are too good, so he will start the season in the pen and could start some games for us down the stretch. On the lineup side, Connor Griffin, of course, our best player. If he wasn't hurt at the end of last year, he probably would have won the Gold Glove, and he probably would have challenged for MVP. He got some down-ballot votes, was an all-star for the first time. Max Clark has a virus. He's out for the next 2 days, but breakout season last year, finally a league average hitter, and with his Gold Glove caliber defense at age 27, he's a real big league player now. Sean Galloway debuted for us last year, 73 games, a league average hitter. He will have a much bigger role this season with the trade of Belize. And Dan Sant as well. I sent him to the development lab, improved his outfield defense, so now he's capable of playing there. He'll also see time at first base and designated hitter. He's got 30 to 40 homer power. One of the few guys in our lineup who can do that, and we're happy to have him after his Wild Card Series MVP performance against the Angels last season. Al Baladejo back at shortstop. We know the story with him. Just be competent with the bat, and the glove is so spectacular that, anything else is gravy. Grady Emerson, 270 plate appearances in his rookie year, but the ratings have finally come up to a point where I think he's reached his ceiling. Very, very good defender all over the infield and can play a little bit of outfield. So we're hoping he breaks out at 25, 2026 first-round draft pick, kind of a late bloomer as a high school pick. Maybe should have gone to college, I don't know, but we picked him in the first round very early, and he's finally up with us. Jeremy Rodriguez, the ratings have dipped, but he's still a good enough defender and a lefty. Excelled in spring training. We're happy to have him back. Andy Cervantes is back. $2.68 million in arbitration was okay for me to keep him. He hit well in spring training. He's such a good defender, and he offers that skill set as a right-handed hitter, which we don't have in the infield. Zach LaValle, who's 24. The bat still has some developing to do. I sent him to the lab to work on his power, but it didn't come along. He's a very good second baseman, can play a little bit of third and short, maybe some outfield in a pinch, but he is going to be good. He had a good rookie season in a half season with us. Jeff Wagner has broken camp with the team. He's got the pop. I improved his defense a bit. Hit well in spring training and had a very good year in AAA, so he's ready to be a utility player for us on the big league club, and I'm all good with that. Ismael Ayala, I'm very excited for. Finally rounded into form. He was a quick development guy in the minor leagues. He was our third-round pick in 2027 out of high school, and every level, for the most part, he hit, especially in the high minors, and that was a big deal in me promoting him as early as I did at age 22. And he's unlocked his potential. Maybe, a little worried with him at second base with this range, but he's a good enough player that I'm excited to have him as well. And Tim McFarland, no D, we like him. Jesus Moncayo is our backup catcher following the trade of Gutierrez. Andy Eggers will start the season in AAA, and if Moncayo struggles, Eggers can come up as the right-handed option to pair with McFarland. And he had a very good season in the Olympics last year. And that's the lineup. So there we are. AAA extremely deep this season. Chae Bong Kim, Chris Sinclair, Chris Welch on the 40-man roster, Cam Aniti, Peng Chu Ko, I signed out of Taiwan. Jeremy Johnson, Braylon Morrell is a guy I traded for from Texas with the hope that he'd perform well in spring training, but right now he's a right-handed option in the minor leagues. He's actually won a Gold Glove award in 2030. Steve Hooks was the guy we traded for him, who's got an average bat and is a good defender, but we got a lot of guys like that. and I had a need in the outfield. Jorge Ramirez down there as well. Saldana, he's lost a little bit of potential. Didn't hit well in spring training. Development lab increase didn't happen. You know. And then TJ Venable on the 40-man roster as well. Dylan Walters, a guy I traded for Bobby Hunter. And this was probably a controversial trade in the eyes of a lot of people, but we got some salary relief. We got Walters and $4 million. Did not have to pay Bobby Hunter, who got $6 million in arbitration from the Dodgers. And I just think he's an average hitter, average right-handed hitter at first base. There's a lot of guys that can fill that role. And to get a pitcher like Walters, although he's fragile, he's a capable starter at 24, and he's down in the minors right now. We traded some other guys for him to get that money, and I'm good with that deal. Ella Reed down there as well, and some other guys. And then everybody else is trade fodder at this point, given that this is the last season. Josh Range got hurt again. He's probably done. He has had back-to-back season-ending injuries, a partially torn UCL in 2032, and now a partially torn UCL in 2033. So he had a very short but successful career in the bigs, and I doubt that he gets back again, unfortunately. Jack McKernan, I didn't know he's still on the team. He's got a torn UCL. He was a former first-round draft pick of us. Or no, we actually re-signed him. I didn't know that. Yeah, we picked him in the first round, 5th overall back in 2025, and he played a little bit for us, but spent last season in Colorado after we non-tendered him. That's not Anthony Maldonado. Yeah, so that's the team right now. We have about $14 million to work with, which to work. That'll be used during the playoffs. Fan interest up to 60. You see, the budget has just stayed at 124 for almost the entire time. We had a $100 million budget in the first season, got bumped up, or actually it was 122. We've stayed within 120 to $126 million for almost the entirety of the sim. There's only so much you can do with that, especially in this game, Out of the Park 25, that this was my first save. There's some things that I've learned that I won't do again. How to develop players now. Here's the ledger. Personnel. Javier Godard actually has a very good manager reputation after winning championships every step of the way for us in the minor leagues. I was very bad in Stockton, but we didn't have good players there. But won a championship in Midland, won it in Sacramento with the River Cats. Let's hope he can bring it to the big league club this season at age 37. We have the 29th out of 30 farm system in baseball, Chris Welch, 88th overall. But who cares about the prospects? We're here to win games. And that's what we're going to try and do. Anything else I missed? Preseason predictions. We are supposed to win 84 games. That's about where we've been the entire sim. The Angels and the Astros right with us. Mariners and Rangers looking to take a step back. Well, the Rangers lost 100 games last year. The White Sox are still good. It's going to be a weak American League, it seems, again. So we should have a decent shot at getting at least a wild card. Connor Griffin and Sean Galloway are supposed to be two of the best hitters in the American League, and our pitching staff as a whole is supposed to be the third best in run prevention. So I think we have a good shot. The Astros just seem to be far and away ahead of a lot of people. Jim Archer's a ridiculous player, and they got Strider. And I don't think this pitching staff is that good. Maybe Strider, but he's fragile, and then they got another few guys that aren't amazing. But just, a good bullpen all around. I don't know. We'll challenge for it. Who's this guy for the Angels? Steve Klaus, 23 years old, first-round pick. Okay. And that's Carson Williams. Michael Harris out in New York. Jackson Merrill, Churio. Vladdy Jr. is still doing it at 34. Is he on pace for 3,000 hits? Probably. He could probably get there. Machado got there. Manny Machado. They have that schedule doing those first couple games in Korea still in 2033. But he got 4 hits this season to go up to 3,001, hit a home run to go up 501. So he's a 3,500 guy. But the thing that's so interesting about Machado He's never really been like an MVP caliber player. He's just been so steady every point in his career, on the downslope here into his late 30s. But his last great season was in 2022. His last really good season was in 27. Very valuable though with the glove, but not a flashy kind of guy. And I think he's really just going to be like Adrian Beltre, for the most part. Just a very good defender, but Beltre hit better than him into his late 30s. So I guess not. I don't know. Machado is a unique guy, I think. But anyways, Manuel Beltre, didn't we have him for a minute? Now he's in England. Yeah, we traded for him a long time ago. But that's it for this. I'll be back at the trade deadline or the All-Star break. I haven't decided which. I want to get to the playoffs pretty soon. I'm rolling through this series because I'm ready for it to be over. I want to play some out of the park without the obligation of having to record YouTube videos. But this is a fun team, I think, and we should challenge for a deep run in the playoffs. So thanks for watching.